Enkosi kakhulu, Minister. As I call on the Executive Mayor for the keynote address, please, Mayor, to the point, Majodina, please start on the other reason we know this area, the Brixton Tower. You know that player. So is that the weekend results were not as good as we had hoped. Siyabonga.
Thank you. I hope I understood what Nandumiso was saying. Let me start by acknowledging our minister. Minister Honorable Pemmy Majodina, I do acknowledge you. The Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, the Honorable David Mahlobo, Gauteng Premier Honorable Panyaza Lesufi, who had left unfortunately to attend to other things. I must say that the Premier did give the necessary support when we first came here. And in our engagements before the state of the province, we did have discussions about this place, which he then announced it as part of his state of the province address. Honorable Mama Bulo, who has also walked this journey with us, unfortunately could not join us today. He normally prefers to join when there's problems to resolve, but when we celebrate achievements, he moves on to some other problems. A communist in nature. Let me also acknowledge our members of the mayoral committee. Acknowledge the deputy mayor who's responsible for finance in the city of Joburg. And of course, the member of the mayoral committee, Councillor Jack Cllr, who's responsible for infrastructure. The members of the mayoral committee are here. If you allow me, program director, if I can ask them to stand up so that they are acknowledged by the community. Now, Comrade Pemmy, Majodina, these are the team that fight it out in the mayoral committee and get things done at the end of the day. Ensure that the reports given by departments are scrutinized and are engaged thoroughly. So let's acknowledge them for the work that they continue to do. I know it's a thankless task, but at least let's acknowledge them. The chairperson of the board of Joburg Water, I'd like to acknowledge you, my sister. I know you have changed the surname, but I still, in the other surname, Dino was told, I'm trying to remember the new one. So that is why I'm all Majavu. And of course, acknowledge the MD of Joburg Water, Mr. Nchaveni Mukwebo and his team. And lastly, acknowledge the city manager of the city of Johannesburg, Dr. Floyd Brink, who's here with us, and I'll ask him and Mukwebo to stand up. The nice thing about them, you can easily identify which one is Floyd, which one is Mukwebo. So you don't have to struggle. The complexion just confirms which one has to be a Mukwebo. Members of the media, I'm also thanking you for having traveled this journey with us, with all the articles. And you did understand that we are in a journey to deliver an important project. Let me not forget our fellow councillors who are here, starting with the ward councillor who was here earlier, Ricky, who spoke this, welcoming us. And of course, all councillors, I acknowledge you from all parties who are here, Councillor Boer and all other councillors that are here. And let me also confirm that the corporate colors of Joburg Water are corporate colors of Joburg Water. They are not sending any other message outside being corporate colors of Joburg Water. And they are related to the water color, no attachment to any other thing except the water color. The principal of the school and the Department of Education for having agreed to provide this important space for us to build this reservoir. We had serious engagements and eventually they gave us the space to build this reservoir. We thank you so much. And now, two things I need to deal with for the school. The minister has made a proposal, which I think Joburg Water, together with the school, must make it happen, perhaps with our arts and culture department. The minister has proposed that we allow the students to do art on the concrete wall as you move to the pump station. So if we could just note it and allow the students, but over and above, also allow Joburg Water for those students who may be interested in the future to study water engineering and all other fields in the water science, be given an opportunity to start learning what is a water pump, a reservoir, a tower, so that we can start them whilst they are young to build an interest into this field. We're tired of just lawyers and doctors. We need engineers into this important field. Let me therefore make a speech, because one job of a mayor is to make a speech. I get so that they are recorded in history that the mayor said the following when he was opening the water tower on this particular day in history. And those that will be referencing for either academic work or for their own species at that time, they will reference the mayor of Johannesburg. And I want to say, I want to take this privilege, or the last, I said 2 points, Minister. That's the school. The second one is your dress that could not be displayed at the opening of Parliament. And the deputy mayor, he could not also show off his suit. Now, on the 20th of May, if I'm correct, Speaker, I'll be doing the State of the City address. Maybe it's an opportunity to showcase your dress and the deputy minister to showcase his suit. So we are going to send an invite and request you to honor that day. And we'll then talk about the water. Let me take this opportunity to address you today as we officially launch the Brixton Reservoir and Water Tower, a major step forward in Joburg's commitment to reliable and sustainable water services. This project addresses long-standing water supply challenges in the Brixton area, Crosby and Hastings. And it's as a result of a strategic planning, investment, and collaboration that today we are proud as Joburg Gauteng the city to hand over this important reservoir. This reservoir and tower projects include 26 megaliter of ground reservoir and a 2 megaliter in the tower, and a 200 liters per second pump station. And I think we had an opportunity to also see the pump station, and bulk pipelines that continue to reconfigure and optimize the entire supply system. The new system improves infrastructure reliability, capacity, and flexibility. Storage has increased from at least 20 to now 46 megaliters around this entire area of Brixton. And we have also improved from 1 tower to 3 megaliters in the towers around these areas. This development forms part of the city's broader effort to strengthen system fundamentals and meet future demand despite financial constraints and competing priorities. You do know, as we set up budgets in the city of Johannesburg, there are competing priorities. We have to deal with issues around road infrastructure, traffic signals, infrastructure, housing, and so on and so on. And those competing priorities continue to put our limited resources under continuous strain. However, we remain a resilient city, focused on ensuring that we do invest in the infrastructure of the city. Part of what we are looking at now is we have increased the Joburg water capital investment to about 1.7 billion. Would have wished it to push much higher than 1.7 billion, but as a result of the competing priorities, we're unable to push it further. However, we are looking at other alternatives in terms of the funding model that the city has adopted and introduced for us to be able to support infrastructure projects. We have an ambitious project right now to raise about 13 billion rands with an intention to invest it in the water pipe replacement program, which will also include a sewer pipe replacement program. It's an ambitious program. We are working, of course, with different financial institutions. Included is the South African Development Bank, that we are engaging quite robustly with an intention to raise these billions for us to be able to immediately address the water and sewer infrastructure. We account for at least about 12,600 kilometers of pipes, water pipes in Johannesburg, and probably just around 2,600 will be able to attend to it immediately with this ambitious program. We need just around 7 billion just on the water pipelines, and we need about 6 billion for sewer. Therefore, it's a total of about 13 billion that would need to address this thing. We are convinced that with working together between the leadership, political leadership, and the administrative leadership, working together with business and the private sector, we are likely going to have the capacity, of course, to raise this capital and invest in capital projects. Program Director, we do have a 10-year infrastructure investment plan that Joburg Water has put together as part of the turnaround plan. And the intention, therefore, is to raise resources to invest in this infrastructure. I may say upfront, we are refurbishing about 22 reservoirs currently in Johannesburg. 3 of them are in Soweto to try and address the bigger population of Johannesburg. We're doing others in Midrand, Castwell. We will be launching it towards the end of the year because we are clear that Johannesburg will continue to grow. We are now a 6 million city in terms of population, and therefore we must invest in our infrastructure. Group Treasury has given the necessary support through reforms, and we are looking at how we're going to work with National Treasury to implement service entity reforms, which will also see us now beginning to ring-fence certain percentages of the Joburg water revenue so that it can therefore be reinvested back into infrastructure. At this stage, I don't want to talk too much, except to say we've got a challenge to ensure that we deal with water demand and water conservation, because at the end of the day, we may have as much water as we're able to provide, but we must conserve that water, knowing very well that South Africa is a water scarce country. Therefore, we want to encourage our residents here to conserve water as much as they can, to allow us to be able to manage water demand and water distribution in Johannesburg. We do have, of course, a 10-point plan in addressing sanitation in Johannesburg. Sanitation is one of the important aspects of the work that we're doing. As the minister usually says, sanitation is dignity, and we are committed to ensure that we can deal with matters of sanitation in our areas, especially looking at our informal settlements. Let me conclude, therefore, Minister, and say these reservoirs that were refurbishing. It's a demonstration indeed of our commitment to invest in capital projects to ensure that our people do have access to water, which is an important resource. It's only when you don't have water for days that you realize how important this resource is. And some of you may also realize when there's water running in your house, you hardly get thirsty. But when you know that water has been closed by the city of Joburg, you suddenly get so thirsty that you start making calls to the call center of Johannesburg. We are now assured that this area of Brixton Coronation, they will have supply of water consistently. We want to thank the team of Joburg Water, led by our very own MD Mukwebo and your team and the contractors on site for wonderful work that we have done. We have finally delivered on the reservoir. I will not talk about any other political matters because my task is to ensure that we deliver on the mandate. Yes, there are delays. Delays do happen in bigger projects for whatever reasons that the delays might be there, but we finally have delivered on this reservoir. And I was jokingly saying to one of our councillors from the other party that there's enough water here to swim. So I invited him that you can swim. There's enough water. The risk is that it's a reservoir. We are likely to drown because it's a reservoir. But thank you very much with the support. And I guess humor is part of the work that we do. Without humor, it will be boring, So the same way that Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, they came back very prepared on Sunday, very prepared that they want to stop us from taking the league. They were not just stopping us for the 3 points. They just made sure that we don't take the league. But Sundowns through. So the gods are still on our side. There's still a possibility that we'll raise the trial. Thank you very much.
But at the end of the day, he still did not say anything about the Brixton Tower. He still did not say anything about that. Please, may I ask Board Chairperson, Umamdino Majavo, for a vote of thanks. We will then take the questions afterwards. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very, very much. I've got a very small task. The task is a vote of thanks. But before I begin, let me, of course, acknowledge the minister, Minister Pemmy. Thank you very much. Minister David, thank you very much. Deputy Minister, you've been with us. Minister, you've been with us. You've given us the most lashings that anybody could ever ask for. But we really appreciate it because we are right now here. Yes, we really, really appreciate it. We want to thank also the Premier as well as the MEC of Cllr in absentia. We meet up with them every Wednesday, like MEC was saying, and we know that this evening we'll be dealing with other issues that they will be lashing at us about, but we are really grateful for their support. Executive Mayor, thank you very much. Deputy Executive Mayor, thank you very much. MMC Jack, we've been running this road. We call you into meetings every 2 seconds. We thank you that you always avail yourself and you're always with us in this journey. Of course, with the MMCs in general, because you've been with us in every space. We are unable to speak to communities, but you've been our voices, MMC Nisi, MMC Eunice Mtlena, MMC Zungu. Thank you very much for being our voice when we are unable to be. And thank you to the Section 79 Committee for always keeping an eye on us and making sure that we do the right things. Thank you to our counselors, Councillor Reiki, and all the other counselors. I mean, we know for a fact that without working together, we can never have water that's sustainable for everyone. We thank you that you've walked with us through this journey. You've guided us, but of course, ensure that the community comes together. Because when we work together with the community, we are able to achieve far more than we can think of. So we really thank you for that. And we thank you, Principal and the Department of Education. This is such a huge milestone. It's not just allowing us to use the land, but it is saying to us that young people are the future and water is for all of us. Essentially, what the principal, the Department of Education was saying with allowing us to have the space is that we are saying water is part of the genesis of the future and we are able to move forward with that. So we're thankful to the young people that are here. We're thankful, Principal, that you are here to work with us and to walk with us in this journey. We are also very grateful to the city manager and all the officials of Johannesburg. We are thankful for the times that you have been with us, the advice you've given us when we have been unable to come up with other issues. Thank you very much to EISD as a whole and the team. Let me also thank the MD. I have to stand up and say thank you very much, Mr. Mkwevo. You have led a very strong team. And we know that it is because of your passion, it is because of your vision that Johannesburg Water continues to be committed to ensuring that we fulfill the mandate accordingly. Ngobizita, in absentia, I can't see him. He is the PM that was here and leading us. He has done so well along with his team, and I really want to thank all the workers. I must mention the Johannesburg Water workers in particular, because they go over and above what we expect of them. You know, after the match, Mayor, we were thinking that workers would not come. They were here full force. They have not slept. They were here. And I was happy about the draw because nobody was unhappy. All the workers were just together. Everybody was united. But that also shows the commitment of Johannesburg Water employees. They work overtime and they go all out, and I really want to appreciate them. But of course, we don't just thank the fish for swimming, right? Because this is an expectation. We expect the people of Johannesburg Water to do what we expect them to do. But we're thankful that they still come out and they give far more than we expect. Right now, we know that in saying that, we're not just doing it about today. We're not saying thank us or be happy about the reservoir only, but we are saying let's show this commitment to ensuring that we have sustainable water, that we have refurbished reservoirs, that we have pump lines that are going to be revived, that we are able to ensure that the city of Johannesburg the city of Johannesburg is clearly moving towards a space where water is always accessible, that it's always clean, that it's there at high pressure. We heard the cries of the people of Brixton. We heard when people were saying that, you know, we're not getting enough water, we can't shower properly. We've tried by all means to get where we are, and we are continuing in this journey. So we really want to thank you, the residents, for your patience. We thank you for calling us out. We thank you for listening to us, that in our communication platforms, you regularly communicate with us. We appreciate it because we know that we are able to then work together to come up with solutions and ensure the implementation of things such as the reservoir today. We really, really appreciate this, and we hope that as we move on to the Erin Towers in Midrand, when we move to Soweto, we will do the same with the workers, with the community members, with the people in the various areas, with the students, the young people, being custodians of the kind of change that we need, where we look at water and we use water sparingly, and we think about conservation as an important factor. We appreciate the media. We know that you are always here with us. We call you to many press briefings as Johannesburg Water. You take your time, you listen to us, you listen to our long presentations, sometimes very technical, but you take it and you listen to us and you move and you communicate with people about what the city is doing and what Johannesburg Water. So really, we really would like to thank everybody. And we thank everybody that took the time to come here today. We appreciate it. We appreciate your time because we know that time is everything. But of course, water is life and sanitation is dignity, and it remains our commitment. We thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. If I may request the members of the media to come forward, we will take a Q&A just for media, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, your name, your media house, and the question. Thank you. I'll take 5 questions at a go. Principal, I think we can release the learners. Thank you. Unless they want to be here. Unless they want to be here. Can I take questions? Please also indicate who you're directing your question to. I've asked you to please come closer, members of the media. I assume there are no questions. We've been here quite a lot. We are good, eh? We are good. Well, are they coming? We are happy. I assume we are very happy. By a show of hands, there's a roving mic. Actually, you can use my mic because the...
Thank you very much, Zola Sholana from Newsroom Africa. This one is directed to the Executive Mayor of Johannesburg. Mayor, maybe you can talk to us about immediate improvements that residents should expect in terms of water supply since this reservoir has been fully complete. And maybe also outline which specific areas will benefit from this reservoir, just to get a bit of clarity. Yeah, I think those are the questions that I have for the first round. Thank you.
The next hand. Executive Mayor?
Oh, there's no other question.
I'm not seeing any other hand. They're very happy.
No, thanks for the question. I guess we started running this reservoir just around mid-February, towards the end of February, and it has been supplying the area. We have kept it at around 70, just around 70% to ensure that we can supply the area constantly. So we've tested it since then, and it's working very well. And that is why we have realized since then issues around those who are around Crosby, Hastile, they've not had issues, which is Coronation area, Crosby, right up to Emarangia. So they've been generally a proper supply of water in those areas. But we are continuing, of course, to monitor to ensure that as we move on, other problems that may emerge, whether it's pipelines or what, we're on top of the game. But currently, the whole area has been having proper supply since in February. We have not had real issues in this area. I hope I've answered the question sufficiently.
Singayivala lezozo. Siyayivala lezozo. Siyabonga kakhulu. Ofuna ukukhuluma. Thank you. Akakhuluma.
Maybe one of the things that we can, Minister, Executive Mayor, Comrade Deputy Mayor, Speaker, Comrade Jack, maybe one of the things that we need to report is how Johannesburg has actually found a best mechanism just through this one project in a scientific way to address certain issues. To have a tower there is the most important issue, that it allows you to have an elevation. When you have an elevation, it means high-lying areas. You can have a gravitation, amanzi azokwehla, so that at least you don't have a problem. Is one of the best designs, because in other words, we have a reservoir, it's like a dam. A reservoir is a dam, it's a storage. They have 26 million liters there. The effect of the matter that, Comrade Mayor, we are able to keep it at above 70% is a very, very good, what we call standard operating procedure. Normally, minister says for the health of storage, because storage gives you a lag time. If there's anything, at least you have a storage. And in terms of standard operating procedure, between 60 and 80%, very, very healthy state. Uma comparisha against 26 million liters is one aspect. In other words, we have a storage. Anything that can happen for certain time, maybe for 48 hours, 72 hours, you can still be able to supply. That's one thing I like from an engineering point of view. And then the second component was to say there's a tower. The tower is above 40 meters. 40 meters, in other words, you don't have to use more electricity, especially to allow the water to flow. It gives that gravitational force. Is one thing that I thought sometimes when the story is being told, creating sufficient storage, sufficient lag time is one aspect. The second aspect I liked, from an engineering point of view, is that for the first time, there is normally electricity and water, they are related. If ungenambani, you can't pump. Equally, when there is no water, you can't produce electricity. One of the things I noted there, which is one of the best things, you have a pump station. That pump station, the capability, very, very advanced pump station. There's an introduction of technology, in other words, telemetry, and it's automated. When it is automated, in other words, it removes, Comrade Jack, the question of human error. Omunye uyahamba ministry yonatha la kasabuya bo. Uyakhohlwa uthi he must press there. And then that's the problem. But then to do something, it's called business continuity. In engineering, they call it redundancy. If there is no electricity, it does not mean the water will not be pumped. There is a proper pump state, there is a proper, there is actually a generator there. And that generator that is there does not only use only diesel, but it's actually a hybrid one. Hybrid, in other words, was starting to build more in terms of green and blue, not the blue of other people, I don't know, but it's part of blue bonds and green bonds. In other words, using solar is one of the best things they've done here. But when the story gets told, remember the spaces in Gauteng, they are very few. This is a multi-purpose center. Multi-purpose in what sense? There is an education facility. Using space to maximize that particular opportunity. There's a school infrastructure. Best facilities have been improved here. And equally, I've noticed that the storage, which is called the reservoir, has been changed into a recreational facility. And I'm told in the next few months, they will be able to play these children. In other words, there is no disruption around the right to learn. The minister has insisted creative arts, we need to do that. And I'm very happy that, Comrade Mayor, we are accepting to do that. It's a very, very unique way of actually doing this particular infrastructure. The last point is around issues of disaster management. In other words, you could see they've created, for that pump station, they've created a retarding system. In other words, a retarding system when the water comes, because you could see the slope, goes down there. If a man, a color flow, then they'll be able to catch it. And there is a proper drainage system. Sometimes, Comrade Mkwebo is Mkwebo no bring. Nbuskaza the story, because as a water scarce country, exposed to issues of flooding and so forth. These are some of the things, Comrade Minister, that I thought I should be able to thank him. But one of the things, the criticism around Johannesburg, Comrade Mayor, we must thank you. Now we have moved for below 1 billion mark on CAPEX. The CAPEX now is increased to 1.7 billion. 1.7 billion, Comrade Jack. Now, Comrade Lois, we are on the right track. In other words, we have increased by additional 70%. We know it's not adequate, but those who always say we are doing nothing, from where we stand, we are on the right track. We are calling for momentum. Tomorrow, Comrade Minister, Comrade Pemmy, and President will convene all municipalities under one roof. We are going to deliver our promise on the right to life, which is what? Private sector will come on board, entities will come on board, and those who must invest in Johannesburg, the 13 billion is a small amount. Let them invest. To be in Johannesburg, we are at the Mecca of Africa. Let them invest, the infrastructure is there. Whoever put his money or her money, you will get your money back. The last point, as he the infrastructure. It doesn't belong to Comrade Dada. Sometimes they talk, they think that you have been in office for 5 years, Chief. As Mankumbula less than 2.5 years. Sometimes they forget that it's been exchanging hands, but it's a good day, but let's not rest. The journey ahead remains long, it remains arduous. Let's allow the people of Joburg and business to thrive, and water should not be a constraint. Ngiyaleboga, Comrade Minister.
Angayimoshi, sesibongiwe. We've got little eats at the back. Thank you so much for joining us for the day.
Please register and come in silently so that we can carry on with the business of the day. We were waiting on you to come in. Before I start with anything, I want to call on Councillor Rapadu to welcome you in Region E. But also, before Councillor Rapadu comes, can I get ward councillors to come to the stage? I can see some of them are not there yet. You are 16.